So, the secret's out. There's a little contest or something going on next Tuesday, and there are hundreds of thousands of videos and blogs and whatnot going on about why you should vote one way or another, but despite me trying to become as educated as I can on it and listen to both sides, I haven't found a single one which supported or articulated why I feel the way that I do and why I'm voting the way I am. So I figured I would make this video to just kind of share my thoughts and share my ideas. Those of you who disagree with me, fantastic. Hopefully you probably have been feeling the same way, but simply haven't been able to articulate it. To those of you who disagree, fair enough, but at least listen to the argument, listen to the logic, and consider it. One thing that I absolutely do ask, however, is that you don't simply listen to who I'm voting for and stop the video. Listen to what I have to say, listen to my reason, and see if you agree with it. See if it logically makes sense to you. To begin with, I absolutely loved John McCain, starting about in 2003. You know, I always used him as the example of, like, no, I'm not a Democrat. If this guy ran for president, I would vote for him over just about any Democrat. Well, around 2004, some things kind of started bothering me, and then I saw this.
You voted for Bush in 2000.
I voted for Bush in 2000 and 2004. Okay. And not only that, far more important than a vote, I campaigned everywhere in America for him. I enjoyed it. I campaigned with him. I did everything I could to get him elected and re-elected president.
And as soon as I heard that, I lost all respect for John McCain. Now, the worst part about that video is that, while hindsight is 20/20, this was made after the fact, and McCain still has it wrong. So that speaks wonders about his judgment. So that being said, the main reason, however, that I'm not voting for McCain, and I haven't heard this argument, is that John McCain appeals to the stupid. That is, the adjective and the noun. He relies on absolutely nothing but logical fallacies and preys on people's prejudices and ignorance to get votes. The way that this works is basically in logic there are things which are superior and things which are inferior. For example, making a decision based out of fear is inferior to one made based on, cool-headed logic. Basing a decision on the use of labels and repeated lies is worse than basing it on the issues. Same thing goes with science. Basing your decisions on science versus witchcraft or medieval stories, I think it's clear which one wins. And the same thing can be said for ignorance. Education beats out ignorance virtually every time. The problem with John McCain is in virtually every single one of these categories, he takes the low road and relies on people's ignorance and their stupidity to go and cater votes. For the first example regarding fear, it's no doubt whatsoever that people will give up any civil liberties or common sense or judgment if you simply scare the crap out of them. And John McCain does a wonderful example of that. Take a look at any of his negative ads. How many of them prey on people's fear? Whether it's the Stormy Sea ad where there's, a rough ad and, Barack Obama, do you want him there? Basically the underlying tone there is that, you're on the ocean, stormy sea, Barack Obama's elected president, the ship's going to capsize and you're going to die. Once again, that prays to the worst in people. The same thing can be seen back in 2004. Bush used the same tactic in his Wolves ad. It's no secret and it commonly is done, but it's specifically done by McCain. The other thing that McCain does is instead of talking about the issues, he resorts to labels and relies on the fact that if you repeat something over and over and over again, it gets solidified in people's heads, regardless of if it's true or not. You could take a look at him calling Barack Obama a celebrity. It's irrelevant, aside from the fact that it's ironic considering the fact that McCain spent his birthday on a yacht with Anne Hathaway and her money launderer boyfriend and lobbyists. You can go ahead and call Barack Obama unpatriotic, and Sarah Palin is specifically good at this. Well, I don't really need to defend Barack Obama's patriotism. I'd like to point out the hypocrisy of Palin doing this, considering her husband's affiliation with the Alaska Independence Party, whose basic goal is to get Alaska to secede from the Union because they don't want to be part of the United States. Who's unpatriotic? You can go and call Barack Obama a socialist, and this is ironic because 9 out of 10 people doing this have no clue what socialism is, but the irony is that the ones crying socialism are the ones who would be helped by Obama's policies. That, and I would love to see the attack ads run against Jesus if he were to run in 2008. Caring for the sick, caring for the poor. Yeah, I don't think that he would fare too well. Then on to the elitism claim. Well, aside from the irony in the fact that John McCain has 7 or 8 houses and made millions of dollars by marrying into a beer heiress, and Barack Obama grew up on welfare, I think that it's particularly nauseating simply because in America we have this perverse fascination with electing people who are dumber than we are. It is a good thing in America for lots of people to vote for people who are uneducated and simple-minded, and that's extremely scary. For example, take a look at the education backgrounds. Barack Obama, Juris Doctor, magna cum laude, Harvard University School of Law. Joe Biden, Juris Doctor, Syracuse University College of Law. On the other hand, John McCain, U.S. Naval Academy, rank 894 out of 899. Sarah Palin's even worse, skipping around to colleges 5 different times, a semester here, semester there, to get her BA in journalism. Now, this would be a huge liability in other countries, but because we have this fascination with electing people who are like us and not smarter than us, it actually becomes a pro and a good thing for them. So when people cry elitism, what they're basically saying is, I don't want to vote for them because they're smarter than me. And that's the complete opposite of what you should be saying. Perhaps the most egregious appeal to basal-level thinking can be seen with the "if you don't vote for me, you're not a real American" by Sarah Palin comment. And really, this sets up a nice us versus them mentality. And it's absolutely nauseating, but the sad thing is some people buy it. And you might be thinking, oh, well, that was just a slip of the tongue, an isolated incident. Not so much. Nancy Pfotenhauer did the same thing several days later. So it was clearly a talking point that they were trying to do. Next on the issues was there's science. McCain and Palin are vehemently opposed to science in just about every area, from stem cell research to not knowing whether global warming is man-made or just a natural part of the end of days, to Sarah Palin opposing evolution. And the worst part about this was Sarah Palin's comments about Drosophila, or fruit fly research, which CDK007 pointed out. Basically, Drosophila is the cornerstone and the backbone of modern genetic research. It has saved millions of lives, and virtually any gain that has been done, or that has been made in the field of genetics, has been due largely to Drosophila research. And Palin not only criticized it, but she mocked it. Now, if a potential president is mocking funding the most instrumental organism in modern genetics, really, what kind of hope do we have? The problem here is that we are losing our place in the world and in the scientific community, and by electing scientifically ignorant and backwards people, we have absolutely no hope whatsoever. So all of this has been absolutely fantastic, but the sad thing is I haven't really said a word about why you should vote for Obama. First off, I firmly believe that every election is just about a giant douche versus a turd sandwich, in the sense if you never vote for somebody, you vote against somebody and pick the lesser of two evils. And I really used to think that about Barack Obama until some things recently kind of changed my mind. First is this brilliant speech based on the separation of church and state and why we need it and why it's so fundamental. And given the religious climate in this country, a leader with this attitude and the ability to have brilliant thoughts like this is absolutely needed and crucial. So he earned major points with me there. Second, I saw him taking on the propaganda that is Fox News. And I thought that was pretty good to go too, because it's finally somebody's demanding accountability from that, and I really like that. One thing that does bother me about Barack Obama, however, is the whole Reverend Right thing. I'm not going to lie, that actually does bother me. But when you take a look at John McCain's pastor, who said that Hurricane Katrina was God's punishment for gays, or take a look at Sarah Palin's pastor, who brags about hunting witches and basically removing a young woman from a village because the car crashes around there were blamed on her witchcraft, it kind of gets evened out there. So I guess the bottom line is that one candidate's using nothing but logical fallacies, ignorance, and catering to the stupid in order to gain votes, and the other one actually wants to talk about the issues. This can be seen particularly in recent weeks, as all McCain wants to do is talk about Obama being a socialist or his connection with Bill Ayers and things like that, while Obama actually wants to talk about the issues. So if John McCain's stances on the issues were superior, or in America's best interest, why would his arguments and actions consist of absolutely nothing but catering to the stupid? Also, in reality, the company that you keep, in other words, your friends, says a good deal about your character. And now, I guess the extension of this into politics would be your base. What does it tell you that John McCain is counting on objectively the dumbest people in America for victory? That is, he specifically states that he is counting on white, uneducated, rural, evangelical voters to come out and guarantee victory. Now, the worst part about this, however, is that if John McCain is elected president, for re-election, he will continually have to cater to the dumbest people in America. And I guess in closing, if you're still deciding to vote for John McCain, I have to ask, have you learned absolutely nothing in the past 8 years? Since 2001, John McCain has voted with George Bush 90+% of the time. And in 2008, most recently, he's voted with him 100% of the time. the John McCain back in 1999 or 2000 is not the John McCain running for president today.